Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I stand on the existing protocols, but I still have to recognize, Mom. Thank you very much for coming on behalf of the Minister. Thank you for coming on behalf of the State of Kaduna State. And thank you for the opportunity our founder and chairman. The founder and chairman of the initiative is a young man. Today, about 2 years ago, he asked me to join him on this program. I told him not, that I would not. I told him to put the structure in place, and he did. That's true. He put the structure in place because I'm a sustainability consultant. I'm not an expert in that, in learning and education, but whatever I do, I must have to make sure that sustainability is not in the terms of durability. I'll go through my slides in a bit. But in terms of the 3 pillars of sustainability, which we recognize to be social, environmental, and economy. So I will take you through some of my slides. I will discuss so many of them here. So what we'll be talking about is how this links to the sustainable 70 sustainable goals. Very important, very key. So, and how it respects our welfare as social, as a community of people, how it provides for the environment, because sustainability is about not what you do today, but what's done for the future generations, and how it also saves money for everybody, including the younger children. Children, I hope you are listening to me today. Are you? Okay, let's go. So, the slides. I will be answering questions with regards to how this initiative answers and provides for sustainability. So, next slide, please. Based on ISO certifications. I work, in fact, I serve as the lead consultant for this project. I'm also the president of the International Network of Corporate Social Responsibility. So in the past, we worked with some of the organizations, some of the leading organizations in Nigeria and overseas. So Financial Reporting Council, Dangote Representative Bank, Center for International Governance with regard to our research work, the Federal House of Representatives with regard to investigation and advocacy, oil and gas free zones, green energy is here today, I intentionally added them. National Human Rights Commission, because we also do, for everything we talk about, really the rights for education is covered under the international human rights law. So we discuss all these things, and then the government of Tanzania, with regards to protection of consumer protection, we designed their consumer protection framework in Tanzania. Next. So the question, and the big question I'll be answering today is what is actually this sustainability we're talking about? What is sustainability? The United Nations says that it's meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generations. So that was why we made sure that there are enough students here, enough children here today, because they are the critical stakeholders for what we're doing today. And what my job would be with regards to this project is to link the 17 goals to goal number 4, or the 16 other goals to goal number 4, which is education. And then when we're talking about education, it's also to link childhood education and childhood learning to the everything that we do in life. So that means that having the ability to recognize and respect nature's limits. How does this project recognize and respect nature's limits? The ecosystem, natural ecosystem, ranging from the books production. Of course, we know that food production requires cutting down trees and all the rest of them. How would exchange of one book to within the 300 children reduce the impact of this book production on our environment, on the adverse environmental impact? So that's we'll be discussing that. Striving the social and economic and ecological solutions as well. How does this provide solutions to our needs for today and in the future? Next slide, please. So sustainability then is not just my job to provides that to protect against. It is a collective effort for every one of us in this room, for every organization that is being represented, whether it's in the private sector, whether it's in an institution, or whether it's you as an individual. You have a duty. And sustainability, I tell you, is the way of life. When you begin to talk about sustainability, when you begin to understand what sustainability means, your lifestyle will change completely. And that means that it's an obligation that all social and economic agents, and you and I are social and economic agents, we have interaction with social, with other communities of people, we have interaction with the environment, the natural ecosystem, and to achieve and to achieve sustainability. Development that is accountable for the social, environmental, and economic well-being of the current as well as the future generations. So it is not just today, but also for the future generations. Whatever you do in life today, if you want to be responsible, it means that you also need to think, what if I have to use probably certain amount of water for production, would my children and grandchildren be able to also have access to that same amount of water in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, in the next 100 years, without having issues, without making it scarce, even air? Do you understand that I'm not even talking about water again, because every person understands that water is becoming a scarce resource. Do you also know that air that we breathe can also be a scarce resource? Air. If you cannot find quality air in your neighborhood, then it becomes scarce. It's as simple as that. That's why we have to be conscious of what we do with our environment at any point in time. So it is a corporate responsibility for the organizations. It is a civil responsibility for individuals, for non-profit organizations, for developmental organizations, for any institution that is not making profit. It is our civil responsibility to provide for sustainability. And finally, it is the government responsibility. That's why I'm so pleased that the government got this idea and they're here represented today. So collectively we achieve sustainable development. It is not just meant for the government. It is not meant for the organizations through their corporate social responsibility initiatives. It is not meant for individuals. The way the resource use of responsible resource use contributes directly to sustainable development. So all these come together. So what is then? What are we doing here at the Book Swap Foundation to then prepare the children for 21st century learning? What do we have? How do we do it? And now also to provide for sustainability and sustainable development. So this is no, this is fine. That's fine. This is a bit too dark, but I'll talk you through it. This was developed by the Financial Times, and what it aims to achieve is that in the middle there you have SDG 4, which is education. Now, all around it, we have other sustainable development goals, 16 of them. So what Financial Times have done is to link education to every other goal. But understanding that education contributes directly to the achievement of whether it is poverty, health, sustainable cities, life underwater, whatever it is, you can do it better with good and quality education. Who can say that is not true? Can anybody tell me that you cannot achieve whatever goal you want to achieve with your environment with good and quality education? I'm not talking about child education now, education in general. Is that possible? Even if you are going to sell whatever as a trader, if you have good education, does not help you succeed in life. If you have good education as a plumber, does not help you succeed in life. If you are working like That's one of these lakes, life underwater. Even a number of international organizations have found it difficult to link it to other sustainable development goals. And I was smiling when I was reviewing this with my team. Life underwater, if you have a sustainable city that does not carry all these plastics onto the ocean, don't you think it has already impacted on the life underwater? The only thing is making it more sustainable. If by so doing, you are not over-harvesting the fishes in the oceans, is it not life underwater? Is it not responsible resource use? So why are you finding it difficult to link it? So everything about the 17 goals I would say that they're all interlinked. Yes, because you cannot achieve one as a separate goal without impacting on the other positively. And the other one, at the same time, as soon as you start having issues with education in any society, trust me, it will impact directly on their ability to achieve the goals. So go to the next slide. Let me show you what we have done at IN-CSR to improve on this infographics. Sorry. So the infographics that they have produced could not link key activities on the goals. So if you look at here, if you can show me here, you can show. Can you zoom here out? The middle. Can you try and enlarge it? No? 20 publicly listed companies randomly assess their financial reports, their sustainability reports, and some other information they have on their website. And the purpose for that is for us to identify, linking it to the infographics, identify what projects they have been doing, they have been working on over the past, say, 5 years. And what we found out is that a reasonable number of organizations are actually working on SDG 4. While so many others are working, there's no most of them do not have any plan, any really proper strategy on how they work on the sustainable development goals. Anyone does anything in this. They give out donations to the communities, they work a little bit on the schools, they work on the literacy programs, they work whatever thing it is, they just give up this. There's no strategy to help coordinate, to drive sustainable development goals, to drive sustainability. And some of them argue that the SDGs were designed for the public sector. Now, that's okay. We cannot see much of it, but what we have done here is to list the companies that have been working on SDG 4. SDG 4 in the past 5 years. And also identify some other companies, for instance, Zero Hunger, we have Dangote here with Islamic IDTC, USC, and yeah, good. Oh, still not showing that much, but then I can see that GTB is here, USC is here, Dangote is here. Dangote is here. A few other organizations, they are working on SDG 4. This is number 20 different countries that were working on researching their sustainability reports. We've been working to identify what they have done to impact on the society. And then another serious issue that we've also identified is the fact that they don't have metrics. There is no assessment, there is no measurement and evaluation in terms of if they have spent 200 million, they will go on their website to report that they have spent 200 million. But what is the impact of those 200 million that has been spent? What is the impact on the society? How has it contributed to the achievement of sustainable development goals? Until businesses begin to take in that direction, we will keep wasting money and reporting on our sustainability reports and on our end of the year accounts that we have spent so amount of money. But what do you intend to achieve? What is the plan? What is the strategy over the short period, medium, and the long term? So now, connecting it back to education, a number of these organizations that have been working on education, only one out of those 20 companies, there may be more, but out of those 20 companies, only one work in child education. And we have the reports. We have the report. Only one does any substantial job in child education. Now, my question is this. Go to the next slide, let me just explain this. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these, but I'll just run you through that. Dangote, as you know, have two CSR arms. They have the one for the company, they have the CSR Foundation. That CSR Foundation almost covers all the entire 17 goals, and they spend a lot of money. But then, my question is, what is the significant work that they're doing in child education? And I'll tell you why I'm doing that. So, a lot of money, women in Kogi State, building schools, donations, COVID, a lot of activities that they've done. Zenith, the same thing, donated 10 mobile cancer centers in conjunction with the community for encouraging. Same thing with ICO. Go to the next one. I just want to, these are just 9 I selected out of the 20 that were surveyed. Total assets funds in Las Vegas, 120 million, 130 million on CSR in 2019, and 200 million on education-based initiative, 100 million on healthcare, 550 million or 530. That's what are we doing with regards to the foundations, the one that supports every of other initiative. Next one. Guaranteed Trust Bank, Sterling, and USC. So USC, for instance, talks about 200 relief packs consisting of food and basic hygiene products to the vulnerable. COVID-19, again, most of these companies did well. They supported COVID-19 efforts, and then they donated foods, and not the rest of them. And that same trend, surprisingly, we also surveyed 12 other companies around Africa, just to compare what is happening in other parts of Africa to what is happening in Nigeria, and we have the same results. Next, we have the same results where all the organizations that are working on SDG 4, not many of them does anything with regards to child education and child learning. So, my point, next one. Now, I now ask, that's one question I usually ask. If education is in the middle, it is in the center of all other sustainable development goals, can you actually achieve quality education at adulthood? It is not difficult. What about the foundation? Don't we think that children, providing them with the learning resources, self-learning, cultivating the culture, getting to understand that they will have to rate and begin to develop their literacy level at a very early stage in life, would then promote and prepare them for the 21st century learning, promote learning culture, and by so doing, support, which I have the targets. We know we have 17 goals, we also have targets for each of these goals. Support the target which I have identified to be the most important target in the entire sustainability or SDG framework. That means by 2030, ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development. Do you now agree with me that it says that you need to learn, acquire the skills that you need to promote sustainable development? And that is under SDG 4, education. I don't know whether I've met my case, but it goes through education, development, sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, all the rest of other things must be sustained, must be achieved if you have been able to achieve quality education. And you can only achieve quality education if the foundations are built on rock. Like it said in the Bible and in the Quran, solid foundation was built. Next one, for me to conclude. So, I now ask you, if you're in the private sector, we're not saying what you're doing is not good. That is not the case. We're not saying poverty alleviation, domestic school, school, whatever infrastructure, we're building roads, those are very important. But why is it that education for children, learning for children receive the least attention? That is my case. That's simply my case. And today, I want us to begin to think of measurable impact. IN-CSR's job as the lead consultant for this foundation is a promise that will provide you with that measurable impact. Will provide you with statistics, records, figures, data, metrics that you can go back to use to do your sustainability report and stop telling stories that are not true. That is our promise. First. Second, we are, if you donate up to 20 swap units, we would prepare you at the end of every year what we call social return on investment. You don't talk about the amount that you have spent. You now begin to talk about the impact you've made. That's the big difference. You now begin to talk about the rich. You now begin to talk about the life change, whether it's economically, socially, or otherwise. That's our promise. And finally, we'll also prepare you an SDG report. Therefore, your sustainability report, your annual reports, your investors' ESG reports will begin to look real. That's what we're talking about. And most importantly, it will support every other initiative that you have already ongoing. We're not asking you to abandon them. Right? With regards to government, please provide us the enabling environment, the endorsements. In fact, I'm not even asking for the funding. At least we know the situation in the country. But the endorsement, let us work together. Give us that attention. It is a sustainable idea. Let us have this an initiative that is going to be introduced to other African countries. So support us in your own way. Now, civil societies, international organizations, working on different thematic areas, it is difficult to approach you guys. The World Health Organization is here because as soon as I sent them the idea, the proposal, he bought into it and he helps promote, and today is an ambassador of the initiative. Thank you, Dr. Edwin. UNESCO, no, I'm not done. You can't. So UNESCO, UNICEF, it is your responsibility, and I am here challenging you today to challenge us whether this is a sustainable idea, to challenge us whether it will be corrupt-free, to challenge us whether we can implement it, to challenge us whether we can reach every corner of Nigeria to establish a post-swap center. Challenge us. Don't sit back and do nothing. It is a responsibility. Challenge us. And with the individuals, we can all help. In our local villages, in our community centers, in our communities, funding one post-swap center, two post-swap centers, or whatever, as much as you can, will be a welcome development. Let us not complain about the vices. Let us not complain about the situation in the country. Let us be part of the change. Let us change the narrative. And ladies and gentlemen, I will say thank you. That's my name again is Eustace.